you doing, Mike? How are you doing?
Pretty good. I don't know if you caught like some of my stories about the whole bed bug situation.
I can tell you. Yeah. Tell me about that. I saw some of that. Yeah.
Well, we had to spray for bed bugs because the past 3 weeks I found like a total of 4 bed bugs. And they weren't like in my bed or anything. They were just like in the middle of the living room. I just saw like one, and then a couple of weeks go by, I see like a couple more, and I'm like, okay, I gotta ask the downstairs neighbors because I live in a duplex. So if they have bed bugs, then I'll get bed bugs.
Oh
So
shit.
so I flipped my entire apartment upside down like 3 times, and I didn't see any bed bugs. But yeah, it was such a process. Like cooking everything in high heat, like all my clothes. I got rid of so many clothes that was just so unnecessary. So really, it's kind of a blessing in disguise to cut back on some of the stuff I
That
had.
is
But
nice, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, but I was just worried that I was gonna have to like throw my couch out or throw my mattress out because
Did you think it was Rudy possibly as well?
no, honestly, so Rudy had a tick on him a while ago, and ever since I found that tick on him, every single time he goes outside, I'm constantly feeling his fur.
Yeah.
So there's no way that it could have possibly been on him. Just
So
because of,
no, absolutely, and well, it's great that it's not Rudy.
yeah. For
So
sure.
I'll do a really small introduction, and then we'll just go back to talking like this.
Okay.
So, welcome, Michael. Thank you for your film, The Isolation of Misfit Toys. It was great to receive for the festival. And how are you doing at the moment?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, I got up pretty early today, so I'm feeling rejuvenated. I usually get up around this time because I stay up till like 5 in the morning all the time. So
Yeah, I got a sense from your Instagram. This is round about the right time for you.
yeah, this is a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about your film in a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you about your kind of photography history, where you kind of develop that, because obviously photography is a big part of what you do outside of making films. So for filmmaking and photography, where did that kind of start for you?
Well, the video for me, it started back when I first started skateboarding. So when I was 12, I started skateboarding, but I would always watch these skate videos, and I would always be like, man, I wanna film my tricks. I wanna make skate videos with my friends.
Yeah.
So at the age of 16, I bought my first mini DV camera. It was a Canon ZR100.
Oh, amazing.
And I fell in love editing to music. So that was like my passion, was just like editing to music. And then it turned into just filming everything. So I just filmed like friends stuff. I filmed skits, just little things here and there. And then it wasn't up until 3 years ago that I.
Sorry, just keep that
Oh
thought.
no, yeah, no problem.
Sorry, you were saying, yeah. So for about 3 years.
Yeah. So just about 3 years ago is when I first bought my first DSLR camera.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so I really like, I didn't know anything about DSLR filmmaking. I always used like digital cameras and GoPros and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But it was actually, I've always wanted to be like a filmmaker, or like just like film events and stuff like that. Like I love capturing memories. Like that was my whole thing, was capturing memories and just like having them saved, right? And so I used to make my own little videos called good time videos, and they're just year in review videos. And I know it's like a complete like original name, right? Like good times, but I'm pretty sure there's like a TV like a sitcom. Isn't there like a sitcom from like the 80s or 90s called Good Time?
It sounds like a spin-off from Cheers.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually had a few friends ask me if I could film their wedding, and all I had was a digital camera and a GoPro. So I'm like, I don't know anything about filming a wedding.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I broke my leg And so I know it jumps ahead a little bit, but I broke my leg in the beginning of 2017. I worked as an industrial electrician for 7.5 years. And I was so worried about what was I going to do for work and stuff like that. And I was so stressed out about work. And I realized, wow, I'm not stressed out at all. Like, I actually really needed that time away from work to really realize what I needed in life.
Yeah.
So it turned out that I was just really miserable at that place. It was, every time I surround myself with negative people, I tend to, gain that energy
yourself. Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
So I started looking up on YouTube, like DSLR filmmaking tips, and I just fell in love with it. So I bought my first DSLR camera, which was a T5i, and I fell in love with it. I shot my first wedding, received really good reviews, and ever since then, I just want to film everything. I want to film weddings. I want to film short films. Like, I just love it.
So what was I spoke to Ian Blackwood about this as well, because he's obviously shot and filmed a lot of weddings, especially photography kind of point of view. How was that? What was the stress level like on that first wedding?
Oh, my first wedding, yeah.
Was that video or stills?
It was a video. I've never shot photos for a wedding, because my whole thing is mostly video that I like to do.
Yeah.
But photos, I love taking photos. Like, that's just more of a personal thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my first wedding that I ever shot, it was actually a friend from high school. I went to their stag and do, and I asked, like, hey, do you have a videographer? And they said, like, no. I'm like, do you want one? And they asked, oh, like, how much? And I'm like, for free. Like, it'll be my first wedding. I just want the experience. So I had nothing more than a Zoom H1, a T5i with a Rode Go mic, and a tripod, not even a monopod or anything. So that's the only set of equipment that I had. And it turned out that it worked really well. Like, everybody gave me positive reviews, and it only solidified that, like, yeah, you know what? I love creating these memories, and I love the reaction that these couples get, and that they can enjoy for a lifetime.
I know it's great. Like the last wedding I shot last year, I don't do too many. I do mostly video. I do some stills for weddings, but it's more to kind of supplement things. And I do really enjoy the process, because I kind of push myself each time I do any video job, really. And it's the anniversary today of the last wedding I shot on video.
Oh, really?
And they posted clips from my video I was super proud of, because my technique, the way I approached everything with shooting drone, because I'm certified and all that, it solidified in many ways. What you got from your first wedding is that you're doing the right thing, and that feeling it gives you, and when you obviously start getting paid for it and that kind of thing, it makes a lot of sense, because why would you be doing anything else? Because you've got passion for it. You know what your strengths are. You know how to approach these things the right way. And one of my favorite things, because I used to work at cinema, I used to work in retail years ago, is dealing with people. I love dealing with people. Like, a lot of people hate it. They hate going to public. They hate shooting people, or can I take your picture kind of thing. And I absolutely kind of revel in that, because I push myself that way.
Out of your comfort zone.
Exactly, yeah. And I felt that with doing the festival as well, is that I'm not a huge fan of being on camera myself. There's like, I'm not part of that YouTube generation that's like all, can do that kind of thing. If I was 15 and YouTube was available, and it really wasn't when I was growing up, I would be like all over it. You know what I mean? I'd be 100%. Where people are now. So yeah, I think that when you do that first wedding, or when you edit the first wedding, it's a lot of fun as well, because you kind of figure out how things work. You see some pros and cons. Like, a friend of mine, one of his first weddings, I mentioned this to someone else, maybe to Ian actually, is that he set this shot up, and it was what I call the Last Supper shot. It's, the long table with the bride and groom, and the immediate family, and the best men, and the bridesmaid, or whatever. It's a long white table, and you're the other side filming it like it's the Last Supper.
Yeah, yeah. I've done
So
that.
basically, someone got up. I think it was slightly unusual. A female, like it was like the mother of the bride, got up as well. But when she stood up, there was a balloon in front of her face for the speeches. So my friend that filmed this wedding, it was one of his first weddings, had this whole shot of the speeches. But one of the speeches was she was still in front of a balloon.
Oh my goodness.
So he couldn't get anything. So I said to him, the best thing to do is just find a load of cutaways of people like
Yeah.
reacting, or you can, if you can fake it, do it. And that's what he did for the whole speech.
That's
And
hilarious.
it was so funny. It was like that scene from It when he reveals himself from behind the balloons in the first film. It was
Yeah.
like that. It was terrible. But I think that's the best way to approach shooting weddings, is that you've got to do the first one for next to nothing because you want the experience. Experience is key, isn't it?
Yeah, that, and also just doing your research. What I did was I just looked up behind the scenes weddings, right? So
Yeah.
I just watched, because I hardly ever even went to weddings. Like I shot the first wedding I shot, I probably been to about 4 weddings before that. So I didn't really know the layout too much of the weddings. It was kind of new to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like watching YouTube videos and just talking to people. I have a mentor. After I shot 3 weddings, this friend, he's a photographer, and he's been in the business for years, and he's helped me out greatly. Like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to charge as much as I'm charging right now.
Yeah,
So,
because you think, oh, I need to charge way less than, but you know what your value, you should definitely know what your value is. And I've got a similar situation with someone that lives about 5 minutes away from here. He's been shooting weddings for almost 20 years.
wow.
It's all photography, but his photography is phenomenal. And he's got this personality that, this northern personality, shall I say, that is really accessible and engaging. And like you say, that kind of mentor, that person's super key to anything. I've got someone like that with filmmaking as well. And it kind of instills a lot of confidence in what you're doing, because otherwise, you'd probably, for the next 2 years after starting, you probably would have been undercharging completely, and you kind of wreck yourself because it's physically a lot of work during one day,
Yeah,
and charging nowhere near what it's worth.
exactly. Like I raised my prices when COVID started, about like a month in or so. And I was nervous about it. I'm like, this is how much I should be charging right now. I know, like, because I log all my hours, right? So I'm just like, I'm only making this much, and I put this much detail and all this, and the full length edit that nobody even gets to see. Like, I put so much work into it. So I'm like, I definitely need to charge more. And as soon as I charged more, somebody bought my biggest package, which right now is like almost $4,000, which is like, to me, is like mind blowing, because I started with nothing, right?
Yeah.
So to get from point A to, point B, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that alphabet.
Absolutely.
But
It's really gratifying, and it actually, without them knowing, it makes sure that you're on your A game as well. Like you elevate yourself even further. So when they kind of go for your top tier of price, they're expecting a lot, but then you're in your head, you're going for even further now.
yeah, absolutely.
It's key, and that's why. sorry to bring it back to your film.
Oh, it's okay.
That's what made me. Your shot composition, it showed a lot of maturity in terms of short filmmaking. It wasn't just, oh, if you'd have told me you're a wedding videographer before I saw your film, I wouldn't see a wedding videographer in your film, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
there's a lot of people that I'd be like, oh my God, yeah, he probably shoots weddings, because there's a certain level that a lot of people are happy accepting. But you've got like just the composition generally, and you were really efficient with your shots. You didn't
Thank you.
overshoot it and overcomplicate it. And when you're a one-man band, so to speak, it's not like you can hand the camera to Rudy, is it? You know what I mean? So it's
no. And that was another thing too, is for some of the shots where Rudy was in it too, was trying to get that composition right. So yeah. I was in focus. So I would set actually I had a foam roller that I just set on the couch, and I like set my focus, and because I would shoot, I shot the entire thing on a 28 to 75 2.8 Tamron lens for like it's for Sony mount.
Oh,
But
okay. Is it like a V? Is it VC? Is it like vibration compensation on it? You like or is it what camera did you use with that lens?
I use a Sony A7 III.
Oh, that's really nice because that gives you a lot of scope photographically, and Sony's are great. And I used to use a A7S, the first generation of the A7S range. And one of the reasons that's still great now is because the temperature you could shoot for as long as you want, and it would never overheat.
Yeah.
But the A7S II had massive issues. My friend filmed a wedding with me, and it was like I rarely bring someone else on board. I rather shoot the whole thing because there's, because you know how much you can shoot and what you can afford and how much you want to split the money or whatever. So I had someone else shoot it, and he had an A7S II, and his batteries were swelling in his camera.
Really?
Because this temperature gauge, the A7S II overheats.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't know that was that bad. I checked out.
That's still the newest S range Sony camera.
Yeah, there is no. They skipped 3 and they just went straight to 4. I don't know why. They don't even have. Yeah.
I think they're going to bring out. They are going to bring another A7S camera out, but it's. I think because it was so popular, I think the A7 III is a very good option. That photographer friend of mine, he said, which camera would you recommend for someone shooting? He shoots a lot of properties, like, talking houses from £100,000 to 2 million or whatever. And he shoots a lot of that. And he asked me, which camera would I recommend? I said, because he's a Canon shooter, I said the A7 III to him because of the versatility to it, because of the codec, because of I said to him, I could speak to you for days about this.
That's why I bought it.
I said to him, why wouldn't you, in certain circumstances, you would buy the Blackmagic pocket camera. But because you're predominantly photography and you want to do photos with the same camera, I would absolutely go to A7 III because for the money, it's fantastic.
It's so
with the flange distance, you can put an adapter on, you can use all your Canon lenses. There's no real issue there at all. It's full frame, so.
And the customization of it, like, because I went from a T5i to an A7 III, so going from, first of all, Canon to Sony was a huge change, but also just like the amount of capabilities that this camera had compared to, like the T5i was my first camera and I only used it for 3 weddings. And I'm like, I have to upgrade because, I wanted to implement slow motion, but I didn't want to have to downgrade to 720 or whatever. Right. And many other things, right? Like the autofocus, the low light capabilities.
Do you know the biggest issue for me with those Canon cameras before even I include the 5D Mark IV in this is the image looks mushy. It's got this kind of brown, like the Canon colors are great, but as soon as you go down to those shadows and that, it starts looking mushy. And when I switched to Sony for the A7S, I thought, why the hell would I ever go back? Because I could shoot no noise, 20,000 ISO.
Yeah.
Honestly, zero noise. Yeah. I'm like, why would I ever go to anything else? And then I started looking at my Canon footage from previous weddings and jobs. Like, why, it made complete sense. But now, because I've gone down a different route in terms of the content I'm creating, that's why I've got them for a Blackmagic. It was because of the aesthetic quality and what I was getting in terms of performance. It wasn't ever, oh no, I'm going to dismiss that because I don't like the brand. It's never that. It's what's the right
Of course.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And that's honestly, I thought that's what the way that I was going to be as well, because my first mini DV camera was a Canon. I had digital cameras that were Canon, so I'm just like, Canon, right? So I went with Canon.
The gravy train, yeah.
But then obviously I did some research and I'm like, for the price, I'm like, I need this camera, and I'm so glad I did. And now I have 2. So
yeah, they made such a mistake. Their release pattern, Canon, they've made so many errors. Like, I've not looked at this R5, this new one, the 8K one or whatever.
Oh, the overheating issues that they have?
Is there overeating issues in this new one now?
Oh yeah, the R5 and the R6. I saw like a chart of like the 8K, and it's like you can shoot 8K at 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
You can shoot 8K for like 20 minutes without it overheating. But I don't know, like
That wasn't like official chart, was it?
I don't. I seen the chart around,
That's
and
awful, isn't it? It's awful. That is
yeah,
awful. It's unacceptable.
to be honest, like 8K for me is so overkill. Like I would never shoot 8K at a wedding. Maybe like a ring shot, like maybe just
Yeah.
like a quick ring shot or something. But like 8K is nuts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't imagine like trying to edit 8K footage, raw 8K footage.
I I edit raw 4K footage
Hmm.
because the B-raw in the Blackmagic camera is it. They've got their own raw format. It's not cinema DNG, so it's not like these
Hmm.
giant images. Which obviously this whole score with that is that it's like editing 1080p. But
Really?
imagine trying to edit the raw 8K from a Canon camera. It's shocking. That's my biggest fear. There's no way. I've got a great machine. I really do. I
Hmm.
pretty much built it with a friend of mine because I used to have Macs. I used to work for Apple. I was always
Oh,
on Mac.
really?
Gotta get Mac. Gotta get Mac. But I spent about £1,000 on this, and I've got the best machine. Like I looked at all the Mac options. I've got internal hard drive on this M2 stick, and
Yeah.
I think it writes at 3,500 megabytes per second, something like that. So it's incredible. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
incredibly fast. The M2 stuff. It's
I haven't
insane.
even used it yet. I just set it up yesterday. Like it just came in from Amazon. I'm like, I cannot wait to edit on
Yeah.
this thing.
So like, I don't even like my external drives. I've got these. So the one I'm shooting on for this backup shot is the Samsung T5 drives, and
Mm.
I can edit raw video on the drive externally. So
Wow.
it's like when I go and edit this, all what I do is I shoot this in gallery mode, so you're next to me, and I replace my shot with my 4K raw shot. Like you think
Okay.
shooting raw for an interview, it's insane, right? But
Hmm.
because it's so flexible and so easy, there's no speed issues. Then I thought, why not?
Yeah,
And
why not?
exactly. So I spoke to Ian Rayburn, who shot Days. You know that great film
Of
Days.
course. His
And
his his film is incredible.
yeah, he said to me, well, why wouldn't you shoot it? If you've got the capability and you've got the storage space, these files are massive. They are massive.
Yeah.
So this one will probably work out at 100 gigs, something like that. Something like that for this.
Really?
Yeah.
For yeah. Holy
So it's
crap.
so this is 12 to 1 compression, anamorphic. This technically is a 4K across, but not down because of the way it works. And it's I don't mind the files. I've got a really good method for my storage. I've got NAS drives. I've got a network solution for all of that
Hmm.
because I knew this was going to be an issue long term. Is the size of the files because I when I do a wedding or an event, I do shoot the entire thing and edit the whole thing for them. I do a highlights thing as well.
Yeah.
But
That's what I do too.
I scrap all the original files and I have a master. I have a 4K in the cloud. I have 4K on a drive. I got 3 backups basically of everything I've done for the last 13 years.
Wow. Oh yeah. I honestly I haven't deleted anything.
Yeah, it's insane. And like when I look at my archive, my previous attempts at archive, and it's shocking.
Actually, you know what's really funny about that is recently I have a bunch of external hard drives as well. And just recently I was going through and I was just organizing everything because the way I was organizing things just did not make any sense. And it was
mess, right?
yeah, a mess. And the funny thing is that I wasn't even going to those hard drives too often, but it was bothering me that like if I have to go back, that it was such a mess. I'm like, it's COVID-19, so I may as well just stay on top of all my stuff and be as neat as I can be.
I've still
But
got a job like that to do to go through all my master archives because I used to put everything on 3.5-inch hard drives, but 2 of them. So there's like I've got a Peli case, a flight case that
yeah,
everything's in like this. It looks like storage space for some from 90s action movie.
I have so many of these, like, and
Oh,
actually
it's horrible, isn't it?
I label all mine with with deodorant stickers. This
Amazing.
one is wolf.
That's great, man.
If you know a better way to label your externals, I have no idea. What,
I
people put their
use
dates or something? I don't know how that works.
I use my Dynamo label maker.
Yeah.
You know, the one that punches
Probably
the
has the
letters
year
in,
on it.
so it looks like you're storing something from the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Those labels, I love those. So
Oh
I
yeah.
I do it by, what do I do it by? Alphabetically, and then it's a whole mess. I hate it. I hate it. I hate archiving. So trying to archive everything for this festival has been crazy, because we for the Isolation Film Festival we had over 100 films, and
Yeah, I actually, sorry.
I've sent at least 4 or 5 emails, bespoke emails to every single person. So that's must be at least 1,000 emails I've sent now to do with this.
Wow.
So obviously that's scaled back a hell of a lot now on that, since the event went really well. So
Man,
far,
I'm so impressed, like, just how smooth the event went, and it was only like an hour and a half, but I felt like I watched it for a half an hour. Like,
yeah.
I was ready for a long ride. I was just like, I had my coffee, and I was like, it was early too, right? Because
10
you know
o'clock
me, I
your
stay
time,
up
yeah.
super late. What time was it? It was like
I
10
think it
or
was like
9.
10 a.m. EST, yeah.
Yeah. So at like 10 a.m., I'm like, you know, I'm like, all right, better strap in my seatbelt. Like, I'm in for this ride.
Yeah.
And like in an hour and a half, it was so smooth. Like, the format of everything, it was just like, I was super impressed.
It's Chris and I, the other chap that's in the video, and not so much for Nadia, we got like a real wealth of video experience, and it was more about producing it, making the right thing. How do we do this? Because I don't want to speak out of turn about the ISFF, because they produced something fantastic, but their event was far too long, and it was
Very, very long.
It was unacceptable to do that, and I think because we chose initially, we were going to show every film over a 2 or 3 day period, because it was going to be about 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that, without any in between content.
Wow.
And we thought, we're not doing that. We've had just over 100. We had 105 films in total. We're not going to show every film, because we want people to have, we wanted to pick special films like yours as an honourable mention. And I had, we had internal battles in terms of who's the honourable mention. So we each picked 2. So we loved your film, and it was in the running for a few categories. So it was very difficult. And then we thought, do we show the nominees as well? And because, like the Oscars, they show clips of the nominees, and it was we did a back and forth for ages. And when we put the format together for our live pieces and all of that, this made the most sense, because of the scale of the operation. It made complete sense to do this, and we didn't want to frustrate or bore anyone. So what was it like when you got your honorable mention?
Oh, I was so hyped, because to be honest, like, so when I heard about this festival, I heard it from Ian Blackwood, right?
Yeah.
Another guy that I made friends with through the other film festival, and he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, like, I entered in this film fest in the UK. You should totally enter." And he mentioned how he had to change a few things in his just to make it more UK, which I thought is so funny and clever.
That's one of the reasons I said to Ian that I actually said to Ian, I'm going to get you mentioned in the event, because to do that for a festival outside and choose different elements, I thought it was a great nod to the UK, and we were very happy about that. And then we had this joke about when we interviewed him, and I said to him, "Well, you know what's really inaccurate about your film is it wasn't the Scottish accent you put on the character, it was that a Scottish person's that happy." Because Scottish people, I'm part Scottish, so I think I can say this. There's a lot of miserable people in Scotland, like there's a lot of miserable people all over. And I do apologise to anyone from Scotland watching this, but I am part Scottish, so I think I'm allowed to say it. So, but he counteracted that. He countered that, and said, "Well, it's the end of isolation. Maybe even Scottish people would be happy." And I was like, yeah, that's a very good point. because the atypical Scotsman is miserable shepherd or something, you know what I mean? And that's a bad way to describe Scottish people, but
Yeah.
it's so yeah, your film and his, and we really loved your film. It takes such a strange turn towards the end. It gets really not violent, but it gets aggressive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay, so when I was told about this film festival, I was like, okay, like I'll enter, like yeah, for sure. And I honestly didn't think mine was gonna show because I entered it in a different film festival, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like I'll enter it, whatever. And then yeah, like I think my film was one of the first honorable mentions played, and I was like,
it was, yeah.
yeah, and I was like, yeah. And Ian Blackwood, he texted me, he's like, hey, congrats. Like it's so funny, and just making friends through like these types of communities and just like the film festivals and stuff. Like I made so many friends. Like yesterday I listened to Melissa Karamzeta's.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, she's really cool. And I made some other friends just through like film festivals, right?
Isn't that great, man? Like when we had that little after party after the event, and you and Ian, it was clear that you two had been made friends. Like, oh, how long have you known each other? It was so natural between the two of you because your personalities match so much, and it was something that obviously had already happened through the ISFF, but it's so wonderful to see that, and that was the biggest thing that Nadia pointed out when she joined our festival, because I've known Nadia for over 10 years now. And she was saying the emphasis should be purely on community. It's obviously on films, but the main thing that this will stand out compared to other festivals is the sense of community and connecting people. And she was absolutely right in the fact that you and Ian are such good friends based on the other festival and this one. It's great, man, and it's actually started to happen for the Hellbound Horror Festival as well.
Yeah, honestly, actually, I shared the Hellbound Horror Festival thing in my story, and I sent that to another friend. He's a huge horror film nerd. He's actually making his own Godzilla costume from scratch, like cosplay. You have to check it out, man. Like I'll link you his profile.
Please do, yeah. I love that.
He used to do a lot of horror movie reviews and stuff like that on YouTube. I don't know if he still does that, but yeah, he's like a huge horror nerd. I told him about you. I'm just like, man, you gotta enter, man.
Gotta do it.
Yeah.
You should do it about, like, if he's got halfway of Godzilla, like
he's almost done. Like he's got like the foam. He's got all the foam all done. He's got the head pretty much all done. So I've been following along. Yeah. I've been following along with him, and he posts updates with like how far he's come, and it's been such a long process, but it's like, wow, I can't wait to see what this looks like. And hey, like, could you imagine if he uses that to create like a horror film, like for the Horrorbound Film Festival?
Even if he made a horror film, and it was something like, it's not necessarily a monster he uses in the film, but it's about the construction of it and somehow ties in with horror. That could be really strong as well.
Actually, yeah.
So there's so much flexibility to it. So yeah, initially you think, oh, why didn't he just do it like some sort of monster thing around the house with horror elements? That would be more than acceptable. But I think he could almost like about the. I can't remember the name of the film. There's a film about a clown, and this guy puts an old clown outfit on, and it basically bonds with him, this clown outfit, and he turns evil, this guy, because this clown outfit is possessed, and he becomes.
You know what that reminds me of? Have you ever watched Goosebumps?
Oh yeah, I love the film as well.
Yeah. Have you ever watched The Haunted Mask?
No.
No. Okay. It's a Goosebumps episode with it's a mask.
Yeah.
And they if you put the mask on and keep it on for too long, it becomes part of you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But you know what's really funny is, so when I was recently dealing with the whole bed bug situation, it actually sparked an idea for a horror film of my own, but at the same time, I think it would require a lot of work and more people than just my own or just myself. But and this probably has already been done because there are so many horror films. But so you know the films that include like bugs or just like infestations and bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of one, and I wasn't sure if this has been done yet. But if somebody had like a bug problem and they called people in to exterminate these bugs, but what these people actually did was like juice these bugs up and like took over these people or something. Like they I don't know, like so
like
maybe kind of like it definitely a concept like that already exists, but maybe with a new element.
Because you've seen it. Did we talk about arachnophobia on Twitter at all?
Yes.
So imagine that concept you came up with. So Jeff Daniels' character brings in John Goodman, and he's the comic relief. So if you don't like scary films, when you watch that, those scenes are really positive and lift you out of the terror of the film.
Yeah.
But imagine John Goodman's character was doing that, but he was like a conservationist for these spiders and started to motivate them in a negative way rather than trying to exterminate them. That's I think that's a really strong concept. I like the idea of that.
And who knows, it probably, like, if it hasn't been done, whoever's listening to this podcast, hopefully they don't like steal the idea. But at the same time, like that would take a lot of work, like a lot of writing, a lot of I don't know, I have ideas. So
yeah, it's like the idea, I don't know if this is true, but one of the theories that around when Napoleon died was that was it arsenic or something in the wallpaper in his house he was in, so that they slowly over time, when he was in rooms where this wallpaper was fitted, he'd get poisoned over a long period, and he basically wouldn't be assassinated. He would just die of what was perceived as natural causes, but it was actually something put in the house. So imagine someone comes in to do something like fix your lighting or fix your ceiling fan, but there's a nefarious kind of slant to what they're doing. So that idea, maybe not the juicing the bugs up, but you're bringing someone in to fit your internet or something like that, but it turns really sinister quickly.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea, man. I like that. You're inviting the vampires in through the threshold.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
I thought
really cool.
I was thinking about that because the past couple of nights, flipping my whole house upside down and knowing that I had to spray, even though like there was no bed bugs in my apartment, but the apartment downstairs, I had to, I had to be on top of that stuff.
Did you see that post about the infestation I had yesterday?
I don't think so.
So on the Hellbound thing, on the stories, I posted a photograph. See this wall here? Where the shadow is. At the bottom, this is all concrete. There's no carpets fitted yet because we've doing up this house for the last 2 years or so. And when I came in to turn off a file I was exporting, because it was like 15 gig, the file, I saw a huge pile of flies in the corner of the room. Go, what the hell is this? And it was in one very specific spot. I was like, is it the ceiling? So we put this bug repellent down, and it was like we carpet bombed the flies. That's what it was like. It was like Vietnam. It was terrible.
Man, actually,
they came down the inside of the wall.
That's scary, man.
Because the bottom of the wall, there's no skirting boards, there's no carpet, there's no nothing. So if all that was in place, we wouldn't even know about them. And outside there's bricks, because obviously this is a brick built house. Outside there's certain bricks in houses where you need ventilation for the insulation, that kind of thing. There's little holes, so it's a standard thing. And they must have gone in there. A nest must have happened. They all hatched at the same time, and just dropped down.
Wow.
Once we kind of insect repellent and all of that was all wiped out, and it stopped, and it was in one square area. It was so weird. And it was like your situation, like, where the hell did that come from? So what did we do yesterday? There was 4 people in the house, all because we do this. there's certain limitations. You can create a bubble of 2 houses, you know, that kind of thing with COVID. So
Exactly.
we got a step ladder. So about here, I went up here in a step ladder, like arachnophobia. I was expecting, because we thought it was a rat, and then the flies are born from that, like a dead rat or something. So I popped the little attic space. I go in, not a single fly, nothing. Just obviously dust or boxes, camera stuff, and all that. But when I looked around the rooms, yeah, there's no chance of flies in here because there's these giant spider webs now.
Oh my gosh.
The spiders, they're British house spiders, so they're non-lethal.
So they like tea.
Non-lethal. Yeah, like eating crumpets and top hats.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you just go up there,
like,
you can see like a spider. You see a spider, just like spider and her family having tea. Like, hello, would you like some tea?
So yeah, when you turn around, you got these brown spiders about this big. And
are you serious?
Oh yeah. They're up there now.
Yeah.
And I said to Vicky that we don't really want to get rid of those, because if there is any issues, those spiders will look after your house. That's how I see it. And
yeah. Spiders are the good guys, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it wasn't a rat, or wasn't anything else. It must have been externally, where there was these bricks where you have a ventilation, and then there's the cavity in the wall. So it must have just all hatched. It sounds grim, doesn't it? Like there's some sort of goo or something, and they all dropped down.
Yeah.
So it's like we would, in a short period of time, we figured out what it was. But for you to turn up your whole place, that must have been like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it was like, I just didn't know where they're, like, I didn't know how they got in my apartment, because I'm a really clean person. But like I said in my story too, they're just hitchhikers, right? Like they hitchhike.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly, yeah. I want to ask you about, just to change it up just a little bit. I want to ask you,
absolutely.
Where did the idea for the camera giveaway start? So if you can tell us a little bit about that as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. So originally, so I had my first T5i, right, and like 5 batteries and a bunch of like accessories for it. And it was my first camera, and I've been trying to sell this thing for a couple of years now. And I was just trying to sell it for like 800 or something, because I had like a 1.5 a 1.8 50 mil lens and like all this stuff, right? And I couldn't really sell it. And I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? This camera has helped me out so much. I'm like, why don't I just give it away? But I didn't want to do a giveaway that was just so random, right? So I didn't think I was gonna have too many people. Like, I don't know. I thought maybe I was gonna have like maybe 50 comments or something, and I would have to choose. But I ended up getting like a lot of comments. I got like, honestly, I think if I go to the post, there's over 600 comments. But I replied to like every single one, and I've gave every single comment the time of day. So what I did was
important, that engagement's super important.
Yeah. So and it was extremely hard to pick a winner. So the rules for the contest giveaway, or the camera giveaway, was just write a little blurb of why you think you deserve this camera and what you would do to, like, what would you do with it, right? And my whole thing was I wanted to follow along as well and like share and maybe be a mentor or whatever. So I've had amazing submissions. I've had people who wanted to use the camera to end stigma for mental illness, and I absolutely love that answer.
So what was the actual question you asked? What was the question you posed?
My question was just write a little description of what or how you would use this camera, basically, or like what you would do with it, because I was so worried about somebody just wanting to get a free camera and then sell it, you know, and it's not going to a good home. And that's the risk when it comes to
anything like this.
Like tangible giveaways, right? Like I could do like a video shoot for free, but when it's a tangible giveaway, people can potentially just accept it and then, you know, sell it. Like I could just sell it myself, but I mean, and it's rent, but everything that I do, it's also for my business. So it's like, of course I'm doing this generous thing and I'm giving away this camera for somebody who needs it. And I did give it away. I actually have to ship it to Nigeria to, I know. And the funny
That's
thing is
amazing.
everybody thinks like Nigeria, like you better watch out. It could be a scam, but the thing is it's a
You're
free
sending it
camera.
that way, and you're
Yeah.
not sending bank details or anything. So
Yeah, and like so I've had a video chat with this guy and he seems like really authentic, like a good guy. He's young. He doesn't have access to a camera, but he used to work for a company that he was able to use their equipment. And I had a video chat with them, and the reception was horrible, as you can imagine, in Nigeria.
yeah.
But no, I just like I trust this guy, and I think I made the right decision. So I'm actually shipping that. I'm shipping that Thursday when I head to the city, because the post office in my town won't ship to Nigeria because of COVID-19 right now. So I had to
What do
go
you have
through
to
a
do then?
special. Sorry.
So do you have to go like through UPS or something?
Yeah, it's a place, or it's a company called DHL, and I've
Oh
actually
yeah,
never heard.
it's a big thing in the UK as well.
Oh, okay. And I didn't actually know about it until somebody told me, because I was kind of bummed out, because I chose this winner. I chose this winner, and he was from Nigeria. So I went to the post office in my town, and I said, "How much will it cost to ship this?" And they're like, "Where's it going?" I'm like, "Nigeria." And immediately they're like, "Nigeria." I'm like, it's a scam, like Nigerian prince or whatever. I'm like, no. I'm like,
Did
you
they
know,
say
like,
that to you?
yeah, they did.
That's really bad, man.
I
Because
know.
it has been a scam in the past in the UK. It's like a cliche, but
It's very
there's an
cliche.
element of truth on it. But to be honest, that's really unprofessional for them to say that.
It is. And I'm just like I know what you're thinking, and I heard that all the time. Like when I was telling people that I was giving the camera to somebody in Nigeria, they're like, "Oh, it's a scam." I'm like, "Oh,
That's
no,
really
like
bad discrimination, that man.
it is, right?" And so, and it makes me want to just prove them wrong, right? So it's like I was already gonna give it to his name is Rafael. I was already gonna give it to Rafael in Nigeria anyways. So once he receives the camera and then I see what he gets to do with it, I get to share it. Like I get to share it on my story and say like, "Hey, like, this is the camera that I gave away."
You
So
get some
I'm
real
really
rich
excited for
content.
that.
You get some real rich, like genuine, pay it forward content for that.
hmm And
Um,
yeah, and honestly, like, it would be cool to see other people do the same thing, right? Like, just video equipment or something that they have that they haven't used in like years, that they could part with without feeling like they need to sell it for money, right? Because times are tough.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'm based on your experience with that. I'm gonna do that with something.
That'd be awesome.
I'm absolutely gonna do that, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be, but I'm absolutely gonna do that.
Yeah.
I think it was great, man. Because initially, without knowing who you are, and before I saw the thing about the offer, I thought, oh, it's just the thing about numbers to get followers and all of that. But
And part of it was, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. There are, there's fringe benefits for that, and there's
Yeah.
without context, people would question like, oh, right, it's like a marketing exercise. It is to a certain degree, but the way you've gone about it, it's really genuine, and that's the key thing.
hmm And it's very personal, right? Like I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I've made a few friends that started businesses. Like this one guy from Winnipeg, he started his like own coffee lounge, and I've connected with him, and he's a really cool guy. And he's like, "Hey, like if you ever want to come to Winnipeg," I'm like, "Man, that's awesome." So it's
great.
cool to just connect, right? Like, and same thing with the film festival. It's like
100%,
just
yeah.
connecting with, but then with free camera giveaways, I always have to read into things, right? Because I question sincerity.
Okay, go ahead.
I question because there are some people who like to suck up, right? And
can you give, without naming names, can you give me an example?
Yes, absolutely. So I have to give a little bit of backstory of how I know. I have an app where if somebody follows me, I can see who follows me. If somebody unfollows me, I can see who unfollows me, right?
Yeah.
So if there are people, like, let's just say, I'm sure you've had this before, somebody follows you and they like all your stuff, and you make this like quick connection with them, and you follow them because you like their stuff. You're like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna support you. Like, I like you. But then you find out that they actually unfollowed you like pretty soon afterwards, right?
It's a
So
YouTube trend as well.
it's a trend, and yeah, it's just whatever, right? Like it's insincere. So
Absolutely.
so I download an app so I can detect that, right? And one of the people who was sucking up to me and said like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I think you deserve 1 million followers, and I love your content and your videos are amazing, whatever. And even if I don't win, they literally said this, even if I don't win, I'll still follow, like I'm still gonna follow, and I just love your vibe, right? This person unfollowed me just recently. I'm just like, why even say that? Like, it's very manipulative.
He might be a bot for a bigger account. So
You
he
think
might,
so?
yeah, it could be, because bots now are super huge. I looked at how to grow my Instagram following, and for the festival more than anything else, for the horror stuff, for community, and I watched someone. I think I was going to say Michael Teves, but that's you.
Teves.
There was a Teves. Sorry, Teves. So when I was looking at this kind of Instagram guru type, and he was talking about having a look at hashtags and commenting on people, he's like, you've got to be genuine with your comments. Like, if you're looking at hashtag horror short film and make a comment, it's not like, oh, please follow me. It's like, like I'm going to tell you who the judges are. I don't know if you know if all 3 judges are for the horror festival. One of them is massive, really massive, and based on the hashtag of a film he directed in the 90s, I looked at that on Instagram, and I got 4 new followers out of it saying, I love this artwork. This is incredible. If you make short films, so you should submit to our festival, because we've got the director of this film you're talking about as our judge. And it's not a lie. It's completely true. And they got back to me. We've engaged a little bit now. So it's almost like there's honesty between the 2 of you. I'm connecting with you. Like, you can make friends like you and Ian, or me and Ian Rayburn, and a few other people in that. And it's like helping each other out, but it's not like, oh, please follow me. I'm going to. It's just so tiring. Like that kind of marketing on a level that I'm trying to do it at on my own, no one else. It's tiresome. I can't do that because it's not me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be fake about it. It's kind of it's like the way you went about your camera giveaway was absolutely right, man.
Thank you.
And it wasn't just like posts about it all the time. It's all skateboarding and all that.
I post a lot.
I love all that. Like one thing that I loved that you did was taking photos of Rudy, because you're taking photos of Rudy and everything, and sending the pictures over to Nigeria as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're leaving a memory card in the camera or in the box.
Yep.
I love that. That to me, I found disposable cameras in the past. I've developed the film. I've tried to find who these people are. We're talking years ago. And it's like this, it's such a really nice thing, because I saw one of your posts about taking a photo of Rudy in a park or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And saying why you were doing that, and you were sending it to the winner. I thought it was such a cool thing. And that is 100% genuine. And if anyone reads into that, you can see it's a marketing thing, and you try to grow your following and all that. But the way you went about it was absolutely spot on. It wasn't BS,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. That's why you should get that feedback as well, because being genuine online, there's so much. Like Facebook, there's this thing I coined called curated lives. Everyone's just so fake on there. Like, how do you know what's real? And same with Instagram and Twitter or whatever. But when you get a real sense of someone, that's the person I want to follow. Because I just started following this guy on the horror thing, and he does cosplay, he does makeup, and the way he goes about it is he's marketing himself as an Instagrammer, but it's so much fun, and it's just really from a genuine love of what he does.
Yeah,
it's great. Like I've been exceptionally lucky with the people I've worked with for the festival to make the I think I've got a poster I need to send to you actually, with Rudy on. Someone drew Rudy for this poster for your film.
What? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah.
Oh my god, that's so.
I'll
that's
have to
so
check
funny.
that. Yeah, so basically, there's a select bunch of films, and yours is one of them. Where
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm sure Rudy's done it. Yeah, I'm sure Rudy's on it. It might be toys, but so basically, we've got to send those out, and it's just a time thing. So it might be the next few months. But all the winners, all the honourable mentions, are all getting these one-off, unique design posters. So no one's the same, and you're the only people getting them.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so we had
cool.
2 people based on a little bit of Instagram, like scanning of people's accounts and all that, who would be suitable for this. And it was pure from a place of inexperience of doing the marketing, going after people. But during lockdown, that's what I've kind of, I wouldn't say mastered, but getting something for nothing as well. And like, we're going to market you every time there's a podcast now. If you look at any of the, you know, the short videos we do, the samples.
Yep.
Of
this,
exactly, yeah. So I always mention at the bottom of it, podcast artwork by Tamsin Designs and Mia Turnbull, and they did the work for nothing. And I just sent them a message because I saw their stuff through a hashtag search. Would you be interested in being part of this? And they were like, yeah. We had a genuine conversation, and it was amazing. So what we've done, and you'll love this. You'll absolutely love this. There's, for the horror festival, I've got an artist called what's her name? It's a real Russian name. It's great. So she's called Sveta, and she does some of the darkest horror artwork I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And I don't know if you can see that.
Slightly. What is that?
It's a modeled iPad case with teeth sticking out the back of it. So her stuff's crazy. Oh. And I saw her art through a Instagram search. Is
she from the UK as well, or
no? She's from Moscow.
Said Russian,
she's from
right?
Moscow, yeah.
Moscow.
So can you see that?
Oh yeah.
So that is a 3D face that's got a plastic bag over it, like it's being suffocated, and it's a book cover.
That's a book cover?
So she's designing this. You're the first person to know this outside of this house. She's designing the T-shirt for the horror festival. So we're going to do a limited run of horror T-shirts for the festival, because we've got 3 exceptional judges. And, you know, it's all about, I've really engaged with Instagram on a better standard now than I ever have. Like, it's not just about, like, that networking aspect of doing these festivals is massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, she said, yeah, that sounds great to me. She's going to come up with an original piece of art for the T-shirt. And I said to her that I'm not going to like take the design and that's it. I'm going to make all the money. It's going to pay for the cost of the festival. And then any outside profits, that's going to go straight back to you. Because
that's
it's
so
like
nice.
a mutual thing. And let me see if I can show you another one.
Actually, you know what's really funny that I can kind of relate to in a way is I don't consider myself like a painter artist or anything. Like, I know on my Instagram it says artist, but so I was skateboarding, and June 21st is Go Skateboarding Day.
Okay.
And we have a small skate shop that just opened up in the city that I live by. And I always draw on my boards. Like, I always use paint marker and stuff like that, and I draw on my boards a lot.
Yeah.
And the owner of the skate shop's like, wow, did you do that? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, if I gave you a bunch of grip tape, and grip tape is just like, okay, yeah. is the grip. She's like, if I give you a bunch of grip, do you think you could draw on them, and then I'll sell them at the shop, and I'll give you $5 per grip? And obviously, like, every single time I draw on one of these grips, it takes me hours to do, but I'm like, $5 to cover for art costs, and it's very therapeutic for me. I'm like, yeah, sure. But at first I said, like, you know, I don't need any money, and then I realized how expensive some of the costs could be.
Oh my God, yeah, I can only imagine, mate.
Yeah, but it's like it's just like supporting people you believe in, right?
I'm going to show you exactly. And when I saw this artwork, I saw the potential in creating something amazing, a new piece of art kind of thing, you know. So I'm just going to find where she is. Here it's called art_Hydra on Instagram. I'm going to share my screen. Screen one. Okay. Don't know if you can see.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
So.
Oh, that's so much more graphic. Holy crap!
Isn't that crazy?
That is insane.
See, look at this for a book cover.
And that's not even a real face. Wow.
No.
That book cover is like 3D?
Yeah. It's completely 3D.
Oh my gosh. That's nuts.
Here's a little video of it.
That's insane. See, I wanna know how long it takes to do something like that.
Because look, this is what she's posted about it.
I like when people see. This is exactly like my friend who posts updates on his Godzilla cosplay.
Yeah.
I love seeing updates like that.
Because look at this. When I saw things like this, my idea was everyone's going to hell, and Hellbound, which is the name of a demon in my idea, comes out of it, basically. So, like an idea like this, or where is it? Look at this fine pen work down here. Look at this.
Wow.
Just this one loaded here.
Wow.
So imagine
the
this.
level of detail.
Imagine this on a T-shirt for the festival. Look, that's on material. So yeah, we're gonna work out a deal. She's gonna design a T-shirt for the festival.
That's so cool. Like,
so it's gonna have Hellbound. It might have a couple of dates on it or something, but then we're gonna sell. We're gonna. So it's going to be like a screen print thing online. So it's not like we stock it and then sell them out. We're gonna do a limited run of 200 of them. I think they'll sell out.
Yes.
Because it's so different. And my missus said, "Oh, do you think people would wear that?" I said, "Yeah, people wear crazy shit on T-shirts."
Dude, I know a few people that wear like heavy metal stuff that would totally just, even if they didn't even know what the film festival was. Exactly. So
it's the image, isn't it? It's the imagery.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I've got Nick Cave T-shirts. I can't wear it where I do some work because it's got guns and women on, but the artwork's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always love what you're wearing. You're always wearing like something tropical.
Well, it's because it hides cardinal sins, you know. Because I'm going through this late Marlon Brando phase at the moment. So that's how I sell it. That's how I describe it. So
that's so funny. I wish I would have got the memo. I would have worn my Hawaiian shirt.
This material's so soft.
Yeah.
I'll show you a little secret. So I've got my Valorian sweatpants on now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I wouldn't have known.
And these terrible slippers.
Oh yeah.
So those slippers have been on me for years now.
I'm wearing a shirt from my friend's bachelor party.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. That looks like a real, like a real T-shirt almost, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I know we're talking about your film for the Isolation Film Festival, but so that's one little nugget of info is that we've got a Russian. Through making contacts, we've got a Russian designer coming up with a T-shirt for the film festival.
That's so cool.
So the three judges we've got, one's an unreal artist. We're talking unreal. And he's actually intimidated by the other two judges. He said that based on their work, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe being invited to do this, which is great, which is the perfect reaction for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got this author and we've got this director who made two of the best films of the 90s. Let me show you. So the one I announced was Ramsey Campbell. You know that little video I did.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been writing for 60 years.
Wow. And yeah, that's the person you were talking about who's judging, who you connected with and said like, hey, this person is judging.
So exactly, yeah. So I spoke to him. He mentored Clive Barker, who created Hellraiser. So he's a huge, like, he's compared to H.P. Lovecraft. That's why I announced him straight away in the video, is to get people excited about that. The second judge is a guy called Dave Kendall. Now, Dave Kendall He writes for, do you know 2000 AD, the comic that created Judge Dredd?
No, I don't.
So that doesn't matter, but wait, his website's called rustybaby.com.
Oh, okay.
So he seems like a really good dude, and I'm speaking to him tomorrow.
Rusty Baby.
I know, isn't that great? But he works for Blizzard as well, you know, the games company.
Oh yeah.
So let me show you this. So he's our second judge that no one really knows about yet.
So cool. I'm getting the inside scoop.
Oh yeah.
Oh
scoop.
wow.
So this is stuff he's done for World of Warcraft.
Wow.
Oh yeah, he's done that's who make the game, and his stuff is dynamite for me. That's
nuts that you got this guy to be one of the judges.
Yeah, and wait till you see his really dark stuff.
That's not dark? Oh no, I guess not. Wow.
So the reason I found him, because that piece of art with the fingers with his nun is from a Ramsey Campbell book. So he got inspired by reading the other judge's book and did that painting.
That is like what nightmares are made out of.
So
that is crazy.
Well, look at look how good his Batman is as well.
Wow. I know a bunch of people that would just love this too.
So I'm going to do a video. He said to me, "Oh, I'll send you a bunch of art if you need it to use it for promo." So yeah, if you send me an original, I could put on my wall. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So he's the second judge, and he's have a look at this. Look at this monster stuff, the Wolfman.
Wow.
So you can.
That's incredible.
I'm so chuffed that this is 2000 AD. This is Judge Dredd, the character, the film character, with Stallone played the film in the 90s. This is Judge Death.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So you see how dark this
is.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that's the second judge, and I'm gonna get a little prop to tell you who the third judge is. Just bear with me 1 sec.
Yeah, no problem.
So I hope you know this movie, because otherwise the momentum of this will shift differently.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
Even if I don't, I'll just pretend.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Do you know who Brandon Lee is?
No. Well, there's Brandon Lee. Seems like.
Do you know who Bruce Lee is?
Of course, yeah.
Well, Bruce Lee's son is Brandon Lee.
Okay.
And Brandon Lee.
I was gonna guess that.
Brandon Lee was gonna be one of the biggest stars in the 90s. He was going to be a massive actor because he was killed on the film called The Crow.
Oh, The Crow. Yeah. Man, I love that movie back in the day.
So I just received the Blu-ray version of The Crow because the director of The Crow is the judge for our festival.
Wow.
So that was his first movie with Brandon Lee. His first movie ever.
And Brandon Lee died?
He got killed on set, shot with a dummy gun.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I remember watching that as a kid, and my aunt, I remember, told me about that.
So, and he directed Dark City in the 90s, which is, if you haven't seen Dark City, visually it inspired The Matrix to look how it did.
Oh, yeah.
Dark City was made, I think, 4 or 5 years before The Matrix at least. And basically The Matrix wouldn't have looked as it did without Dark City. And that's what Alex Proyas, the director, came up with. So
it's cool that like it'll take an idea like Dark City or something like that, and then other directors see it and then they gain inspiration from that, right? And they implement their own style. It's almost like music, right? It's like first there was rock, rap, and then all of a sudden there's like all these other genres that branch out because they get inspired from all these other genres.
So the director of The Crow is going to be the third judge.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
He runs his own independent film studio in Australia now. So he's
your film
he's so busy. I can't believe he responded to my email.
That's amazing. That's unreal. Honestly, this whole thing too, like with your film festival and the fact that you're in the UK, I'm all the way in Ontario, Canada, right? I just think the fact that we're so far away that I'm able to be part of something on the
Yeah.
other side of the world, that to me just blows my mind that I was even accepted to something like that,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. It's because first off, when I saw you, because I did all the admin for the festival, everything, absolutely everything, and all
Hmm.
the marketing, all of that. That's pretty much me. And it's not like blowing smoke on my own arse. It's that basically it was just me for such a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chris was producing some of the other little videos and that. And then we came together, the three of us, to make the final thing. When I saw your film, I watched them at really odd times because I would receive your film at say 2 a.m. I'd be half asleep, ready to go to bed. Oh, what's
Mhm.
this? I'll watch this. So I was receiving films from Israel, Australia, New Zealand, Colombia. We were getting films from all over the world, which was amazing, and so many from Canada because of that other festival.
Yeah.
So when I received your film, I was like, oh, let's watch this, Isolation of Misfit Toys. And the good nature of it, in terms of the music and all of that, and then it turns a little bit sinister towards the end. It was totally my bag. I loved it,
Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
obviously your hair is a character in itself. You know what I
Well,
mean?
my hair.
So
Dude,
don't ever get rid of the hair because it's like
oh no, I'm not going to. But actually,
it's like
I
your Bob
wanted to,
Ross. You know, Bob hair wouldn't be the same without that hair.
yeah. I've been called Bob Ross. I've been called Weird Al. I take all of that with like I take
Yeah,
that as a
absolutely.
compliment always. But
Yeah, so that's when I saw your film and your awesome little dog, man. Awesome.
mhm.
Like we're getting a dog soon in the next few weeks.
Are you? What kind of dog?
Oh God, is this time? It sounds like Shinzon, but that's a race from Star Trek.
Shih Tzu?
No, it's Shijon. This is
Oh,
a
okay.
tiny
Oh,
little.
okay.
It's not like a teacup dog. It's about the same size as Rudy, basically, when it's
Yeah.
fully grown.
Yeah.
And I can't wait because I've not had a dog since like 1990.
Wow.
So I can't
When
wait
were
for
you born?
82.
Oh, okay. Okay. You do. So
I look like a child
yeah.
if I got rid of this beard.
I was gonna say like you don't look like you were born in '82 at all. Um,
In some ways I wish I was born earlier so I could properly enjoy the 80s as a child because I have a real affinity and connection with the 80s and 80s films.
I love '80s music and I love like new wave and stuff like that. I love like psychedelic furs and Roxy music and just
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
so I totally relate. I was born in '89, but I'm just like I was still born in the '80s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was that generation that the kids are in Stranger Things where they're like 10 or 11 or whatever. But
Yeah.
at the stop, like obviously they're born in the 70s, those kids in the show.
Mhm.
So I didn't fully have an 80s childhood. It was more early 90s and really got into it. And to
Yeah.
be perfectly honest, I think that my generation, yours, and slightly earlier, I can't imagine how awful it is now to like the fact that you can get bullied online, that shit going
Yeah.
on. Do you like
And
the
not
worst
only
experience?
that,
Imagine a family of four around a dinner table or around the living room. Sorry, and then a child's getting bullied in the living room with their family there. Do you know that shit can happen now? So I feel really lucky to have been
yeah.
born earlier to get a greater understanding of how all that shit works.
Yeah. And honestly, so I'm so glad that when I was in high school, we didn't have cell phones. People started getting cell phones, but there was no social media really. Like there was MySpace back in the day, and Facebook rolled out when I was in like grade 11 or 12. But um, but yeah, like the fact that people just have their phones on them, and if something embarrassing happens, people just have access to video and take photos and ruin somebody's life basically or high school career.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really sad. So, and kids are ruthless. Like high school kids, they don't, I don't know, they're ruthless. I'm very fortunate that I've always had the mindset where I was kind of like in the middle of everything. I was just like, I kind of got along with everybody. I never picked on anybody. I kind of really stuck to or I kept to myself a lot.
Yeah.
But then there was some of those high school bullies that I start reflecting on it now, and I'm wondering, like, have they reflected back in high school? Like, do they feel bad about, how they were and stuff like
Yeah.
that?
I've always been curious about that because I was bullied to a
Yeah.
certain level, not nowhere near some other people.
Hmm.
And I've seen the state they're in now. Some of them people, some of them have grown up to be really good people, others
Yeah.
have not. And I can't imagine how awful it must be now to, obviously there's going to be lots of positives as well. The biggest negative I see is the interaction with other kids, and it's such a superficial level. Well, what
Yeah.
I perceive as a superficial level being online, if you spend time with people, like I know that we'd have a great time if we went for a drink or something,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
it's so much better than doing it virtually. Is
Hmm.
that like, do you remember the time when you wouldn't be on a phone and you would go around to your friend's house and he's not actually in, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was that disconnection, or that reality at that time was, well, as I reflect on that, it was amazing. Now I think there's going to be a lot more cases of depression, and people need a lot more assistance, like mental fatigue. It's going to be really
Yeah.
horrible.
Absolutely. And I think just a social media cleanse, or just like staying off that stuff for a while, is really good for the mind for sure, because, everybody deals with mental illness, right? Like, without mental
Yeah.
health, there is no health. And I have my own issues with like anxiety, depression, or whatever. And I think the
Because
biggest thing,
you're quite open about some of that on your Instagram as well.
and I used to never be open about it, but then I realized being transparent has helped me, not only, but it has helped other people as well. So I think not only sharing like the positive stuff in your life, but also sharing the negatives, but putting a positive spin on it. Like I like the whole thing with the bed bugs. I was super embarrassed about posting about that, but at the same time, it's like, like, it stuff happens, right? Like, not to get too personal, but I went through a divorce, but at the same time, it's like, you have to be positive about certain things, right? Like, because of that, I was able to focus more on myself, and since then, I've only escalated every single thing in my life to another level. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
mhm. But I agree though, like with the whole social media thing. I tried. I remember a while ago I deleted Facebook, and then I realized it wouldn't let me because I had a Facebook business page, and it's not good to delete your or your Instagram and stuff like that if you have a business. So I'm like, well, I have to keep it.
I know.
And
I've gone down that route. My Facebook, I pretty much don't post anything on it at all apart from marketing.
mhm,
And
yeah,
it is a really good marketing tool. I don't have the time to engage enough though. That's the biggest issue I have now, is that Facebook's okay, and like you say, having a cleanse is really healthy. It makes you feel good on a
mhm,
human level. A cleanse of that nature is, you realize what you should be doing, kind of thing. Like you're kind of do yourself, if you're so focused on something online, but then you go
yeah,
out to a park or go skateboarding or something, you feel so
yeah.
much healthier, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, so I go for a lot of walks. I take Rudy for a lot of walks, and I used to always clear my mind on walks, and I used to always listen to music while on my walks. I said walks a lot. And after a while, I started not bringing my music because it was just like I needed that like time to just like kind of just take everything in around me, and just
Yeah.
like, so even such thing as listening to too much music or having too much intake, of stimulation can
I
be.
think you're so right. I'll tell you, I'll be completely honest with you, and to be honest, I don't mind talking about this, but in I think it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I wasn't ever really good at online games. I used to play FIFA a lot. I love Liverpool Football Club and all of that. And I was at my parents' house. I was working in retail. I wasn't happy, and I was playing the game, and I'd say, an early midlife crisis,
Mm-hmm.
and it was what I was doing was desensitizing myself. I was playing this game so often every day, and uh, it was I had a real awakening moment in my life. I don't know when this was, 10, 15 years ago, something like that, maybe about that, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it was it was like that moment, that stimulation, it really kind of, it almost came to the top, broke through the ceiling, and I was kind of getting stung by the overflow. You know,
Yeah.
it really wasn't healthy, man. But as soon as I
No.
disconnected from that and accepted my, like, I'll be honest, accepted my own mortality as well,
Yeah.
it was really fucking healthy.
Yeah.
And you know, like the
I relate to you so
overstimulation,
much.
going for a walk, man, not having your music. Like the biggest issue I have at the moment, like today's, I hate Mondays for many reasons. I really fucking do, because I work a
Yeah, classic.
Joe job as well. You know, like
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's I find it difficult sometimes in my own headspace. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that I need stimulation or I need to be in the physical presence of someone else. I go through these massive lulls, you know, and
Yeah.
like when I go up to bed and Vicky and I are spooning or whatever, you know, like she
Yeah.
might be listening to a podcast called My Favorite Murder, which is great, which is really dark but really great. I'll have
Mhm.
my music on in my headphones or something. I'm thinking, fucking hell, what am I doing? At some point, I'm going to regret um, not just being with her. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah.
place.
Staying present.
Exactly, staying present. That's exactly it. And uh, I love doing what I'm doing. The festival. I love the horror thing, and it's building community. It's really important. It's not
Yeah.
a substitute for something else. It's I just like how it's helped you. You know, you and Ian, they made great friends. That's like, if that happened for our festival, and that's definitely happened in some ways for other people. That to
Absolutely. Yeah.
me is the biggest payoff, and that's worth all the effort, all the time. Is that kind of interaction.
Yeah.
At
And
some
like
point, you two will meet up as well.
yeah, and that's the exciting thing too, right? It's like I've met some people through the other Isolation film festival and stuff like that that wants to eventually meet up and talk ideas and work together, and like that to me is worth, you know, all its weight in gold, right? Just because, and like with you with the horror film festival, you're not trying to fill this void or like distract yourself. It's like you said, you've had this fascination or this obsession with horror films all your life, right? So you're
Yeah.
just doing something that you're passionate about, and it probably doesn't even take, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it doesn't really require too much more effort on your part because it's like something you already want to do. And
Yeah. Yeah. The
for me,
biggest.
when I was,
Yeah.
oh
Sorry. Go
sorry,
on. No. No. Go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say, for me, when I was going through a rough time and I had many changes in my life. Like I was going through a divorce. I had to sell my house. I had to buy a new car. I moved cities. I quit my job of 7.5 years. Like I had a crazy amount of change in my life, and I was so busy with weddings and I was keeping myself distracted that that I wasn't letting what was happening to me actually hit me. And so
Oh. Oh yeah.
I was going to therapy, and I told my therapist this story of I was on my phone once. I was on my phone. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be descriptive as possible because this is true and this is funny. So I was sitting on the toilet. I was sitting on the toilet and I was scrolling, and I noticed that one of this dog that I used to follow on social media. This dog's name was Boo, and it was a Pomeranian, and it was like one of the cutest dogs. I found out that this dog passed away like a year ago, and I didn't even know that it passed away, but I found out this dog passed away, and I freaking bawled my eyes out. I didn't even know this dog, but
Yeah.
the fact that something like that like just made me overfill, it was because I was letting everything bottle up and I was keeping myself distracted. I wasn't letting everything properly hit me.
Yeah.
And that's very important, is to like take a step back not make yourself as busy and just like accept what's hitting you and just like let it hit you.
I completely agree, because you can see when people work for so long. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. My dad worked for a car factory owned by Ford in the UK for like 30 years. And when he retired, for the next 5 years, he was incredibly ill. Because you hear stories about people dying
Yeah.
shortly after retiring from their full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And I get this is like a terrifying moment. My mum would be gardening. My dad's retired, say 6 months. He'd be standing on the other side of the garden, watching my mum, and having this disconnection, this almost like this mental illness of not being able to connect with her, because this routine, his void, it was gone. Like, the work was gone, and he wasn't.
Mhm.
It wasn't like he wasn't dealing something with my mum. It was a vacuum being created, a massive vacuum of being created. And it
Mhm.
took him 5 years. We thought he had dementia or something, but it took him 5 years to recover. All his
Wow.
confidence was gone. Like, he'd be like, if this wall needed replacing, he could rebuild it. He was like he could take a car apart, put it back all together, that kind of mind. And that person disappeared for 5 years. And
That's
it's
scary.
mental health, man.
Mhm.
It's
It's super
like,
important, and that's why with like for me on my stories, if if I'm going through some mental things or whatever, like I'll just share it. Like I don't really have any shame in sharing how I feel because I think transparency
it's
is
really
important.
refreshing, man. It really
It's
is.
that too. I've got a lot of positive feedback just from being so open about just how I feel, because a lot of people, like you said, um, I think you said this, people like to share their the best things in their life and stuff like
Oh,
that, but
yeah,
nobody
curated
shared
lives, yeah.
exactly. So people don't share the struggles that they're going through sometimes, and there are a lot of people who can relate, right? My life's not perfect. Everybody's life's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So I think showing those imperfections and maybe uh, giving a lesson or putting a positive spin on some of those topics can be super beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. Um, just on a slightly different note, the biggest worry I have, not with my mental health, but with the Hellbound Horror Festival, is that I don't receive any fucking films.
Yeah, honestly,
Because the
that's
isolation thing went well because it was a purely experiment. We had no judges when we
yeah.
started, when we opened for submissions, and now we have the judges in place who are really fantastic. So happy with them.
Mhm.
My biggest worry is not receiving any films.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a scary thing, but it's one of those things that's like it's you got to be afraid, but you got to do it anyway. It's like I was so afraid of creating a Facebook business page because I was afraid of people saying like, "Who's this hack?" Right? Because I was just starting,
Yeah,
and I was so worried about what other people was thinking of me or whatever. But for you too, it's like I think you're doing a good job with marketing and getting the right people involved. Like you have all these other artists who have like a decent following probably because they're amazing artists. So
yeah,
the fact that they can share it and market it as well, and of course you're making connections to strong connections like myself, like who I'm sending it to people who I think like would really like to actually submit to this. So I actually had a question about the film festival.
okay.
I noticed that so it's 30 minutes and under, right?
No, it
Or
should
sorry,
be
was that
1 to 5, but I might stretch that to 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So hold on.
Why? What are
So
you
how
thinking?
long? No, no. How long can they be?
So on that video, it says 1 to 5 minutes, but I
Oh,
noticed.
okay. Oh man, okay. I must have accidentally read a different film festival thing that said like 30 minutes. And I noticed that you're following them too. I forget what the film festival is called, but
Oh,
they
okay.
reached out to me.
So
And
well,
so
that's
okay,
good.
that's like that's more manageable. I was gonna say like because I'm gonna be I'm
Do
gonna
it,
be getting
man. You've got
so
to, you've got to
busy.
make it. Got to make one. Got to make one.
Yeah. Oh no, I want to. I'm trying to think
Someone's
of a
make
concept.
Ian Rayburn is making a feature film over the next few months, and he said he's going to do a special cut because he loves The
Oh,
Crow so much. He's making a version that's going to fit in 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. I love the fact that it's actually just like a short
Oh
film.
no, it absolutely is. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I'll make it even clearer in the next video.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
gonna
I don't know, I must have gotten
no, I'm
something
glad you
mixed up
said
with a
that.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the other issue I had is because of the compression on Instagram and the way you view it. That's one of the reasons I made it longer so you could watch it in landscape on your phone.
Yeah.
And it's the red text on the black background. So I need to just change some marketing ideas and go for more white text on red backgrounds, because of visual acuity or whatever.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to mess up the marketing of this because I've got the director of The Crow and Dark City as one of my
Yeah.
judges. So it's a huge potential.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm gonna do a podcast with him as well, which is fucking incredible. He's
that's gonna
so
be huge.
he's so busy. He's so busy. He said, "Yeah, we'll do a recording. We'll do it all." And like the other judge, that amazing artist you just saw work of,
Hmm.
the Judge Dredd stuff, he's like intimidated by the other two. And I said, "Mate, your work stands up on its own,
Yeah.
which is great." And I'm talking to him tomorrow, Dave Kendall, and yeah, it's 1 to 5 minutes, but there'll be exceptions with like credits and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Okay. That's much more doable because I was like
yes, a
because I'm
1 minute
getting
horror film, it's more like it's difficult to do, but I
but
didn't
that's
want
a
to
challenge. That's nice. Like I
exactly,
don't
yeah.
know. Even if I only submit like a 1 minute horror film, like I would love to like take part in this in some way at least. You know what I mean?
Do it, man. Please do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can try to come up with an idea. Oh no, I know a perfect idea already. I have another idea that I've been thinking about for a while, but I don't think I should tell you.
I came up. No, okay, don't tell me. Definitely don't.
Yeah.
But I just come up with something based on your bed bugs thing, right? Imagine
Hmm.
you had the ability to change into Rudy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But the problem is you think, oh, it'd be such a good easy time to be turned into a dog, but there's issues with it with lice and all sorts with a dog. So imagine like those cheap furs you can get from IKEA uh, that look like polar bear skin. But imagine you
Yeah.
could get a texture so you could do a close up of like something that looked like Rudy's body, and you had like bugs crawling all over it, and there was
Oh man.
no way you could change back to your human self, and you're going through all this shit thing. So you think, oh, initially this is going to be fun. I can turn into a dog. You'll be walking around the house. You can piss anywhere, shit anywhere, eat whatever. But then it turns really sinister, and he starts having a really fucking awful time.
Actually, I actually really love that idea because first of all, I love making videos with my dog.
Oh, your
And I
dog's
know
amazing,
actually,
man.
and
It's a proper muse, isn't it?
yeah, and I don't think I don't think like filming something like that would be too
No,
difficult,
those
but
close-up shots, man. You could
it
do
would
that with
be
something
those are the ones that
like
would sell it.
100%. There's your horror element.
Actually, that's like you when you were talking to Melissa about her film and like her like looking through the keyhole, and it's
Love the
like
keyhole stuff.
that cover, right, that cover moment. So it's like listening to that podcast made me realize like, it's really good to have a good cover moment, right? Like something iconic, like for like I don't know, I'm like trying to think of an
You're
example, like
absolutely
you.
right, because for me, that shot of her in the mirror, I said to her during that podcast that I thought her head was going to split open or something because it was so sinister. I thought her acting
Mhm.
was great. And I got a sneak peek of her film she's making for the festival, a new one.
Oh yeah.
And she does this thing with a hammer. I'm like, oh my God, like it looks real what she does.
Damn.
And so yeah, it's been amazing talking to so many great filmmakers. And even if it doesn't get a huge number of views, and my mistake was not asking people to rate the fucking podcast on Spotify or YouTube, so it's
Oh yeah, I what's it
it's
called?
so basically, yeah, it's been so much fun talking to you and Ian and so many other people. We've recorded another 10 podcasts, so
Wow.
that's why we're releasing 2 a week now, because we don't want to do anyone a disservice. Like if we released it once a week, your podcast wouldn't come out for another 12 weeks or something.
Wow.
and I've fudged it a little bit, which you may have been able to tell. You can tell by the lighting that I've released certain films in groups because marketing wise, it seemed better to have Paige Locke and Melissa to like to
Oh, I
release those in
see.
the same week. So it kind of made
'Cause
sense.
yeah, that made sense. Yeah, because they came from the other film fests as
Yeah,
well, and
absolutely. Yeah, and it's been a real privilege, and making friends with you, man. It's very cool to
yeah.
do all this.
Hey, if I ever come to the UK, I would love
Hey,
to hang out.
there's a spare room here, so you don't need to pay for accommodation, man.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll honestly take you up on that offer as soon as I can travel.
I'll I'll tell you about one of my ideas for a horror short and see what you think. So I don't know if you saw any of my blog. That's such an old term now. But my Instagram story post about my flooring. Did you see
Yeah,
any
yeah, yeah.
flooring?
I remember the concept that you had for that too.
Oh, did I tell you about that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my other idea, and I've not shared this with anyone, and if you make it, at least credit me for the story, is about a Christmas tree that's given away, almost like Gizmo and the Gremlin. Have you seen Gremlins?
I was gonna wear my Gremlins shirt. I fucking love
I know it
Gremlins.
sounds stupid, but I've got to ask. You know what I mean? I can't
Yeah,
assume.
yeah.
You know. So, do you know
Christmas horror.
do you know how there's rules about Gizmo, about the feeding and the water and all of that?
Yeah,
Well,
midnight, water, sun.
just imagine the same thing with a Christmas tree, and how use this Christmas tree. It's the best. It's the most beautiful, but don't do. There'll be certain rules to it, but don't do this. Don't do that. But one of those rules is broken by a spoiled child that's opening presents. Oh yeah, one of the rules is don't open your Christmas presents before Christmas morning or Christmas Day,
Oh,
because it's not a great thing to do. It's almost like, yeah, don't do this around the tree. So these two kids are playing with their Christmas presents. This the night before. They both go to bed, and there's almost like a spoiled child in this family. She goes down to the tree. Oh, I'm going to open these presents. I hate these. She starts opening she starts opening her sister's presents as well. But what you see is there's obviously shots of the tree, is almost like how they shoot the ring shots in Lord of the Rings. They create a character out of something inanimate. So the
yeah.
tree, the camera goes towards the tree as though it's watching her, and she kind of gets creeped out by the tree. And she keeps looking at it. But then there's a camera shot inside the tree, and the tree trunk opens up, and a vine comes out like Evil Dead and grabs her and pulls her
Oh
off
yeah.
the tree. So then she's clambering on the presents. Imagine a low shot getting pulled into the
Oh
tree.
my god.
So children.
That's iconic right there. Is that shot of just like
Yeah,
in the tree, like grabbing the presents, trying to get out.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
actually
So
really
imagine
cool.
a low angle shot of that grabbing the presents and trying to get out, screaming.
Mhm.
So the parents come down and they see the mess in the living room, but
And they're gone.
the tree's perfect and standing there. And
That's amazing.
that's
I
the
actually really
idea.
like that concept.
The sister trying to find the other sister. That was the idea, that it's from the perspective of the two kids.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. I've not really told anyone that, because I just wanted to do that as a horror.
You should totally do that.
And
I'm not gonna take your idea, but the idea that
two sisters that could do it. They're at the right age. They're like 10 years old, and one of them can act.
you got to jump on that.
That's real, man. Yeah, I'll sell it to the
Yeah.
dad. He's the wedding photographer that taught me everything I know.
Yeah.
So
Your mentor.
I've got to do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and my parents' house has got a huge living room, so that's where I could shoot it as well.
See, I want to tell you my concept, but I don't want to because I want it to be a surprise.
Okay,
But
don't.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but one of the ideas, I'm just gonna throw this out there. One of the ideas for the short that I wanted to do is I want it to take place in different seasons. So I want it to be noticeable that I've been struggling with something. I can't tell you what. I've been struggling something for a while, and it transitions from summer to fall to winter. So it's like this project could take longer than obviously your horror-bound thing, but if I could make it right and maybe somehow fake the winter part of it, like just shoot a window and then
fake snow sprayed on the window.
Yeah, actually that's perfect.
Or like some sort of motion effect outside of the snow.
Yeah, I'll have to think of something, because if you knew the context of the short, it would make sense of why I would need snow, especially with one of the jokes that I have written for it, or written in my head for it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you anymore because I want it to be a surprise.
Like that, yeah. You could do
Yeah.
things with like digital breath. You can get green screen stuff that could
Oh, that's true.
work. So
I'll honestly I'll have to do some brainstorming and think of. I've told a few friends about my idea.
Color grading as well. Color grading helps a lot with setting tones and scenes. So you could do a lot of that. But yeah,
that's true.
That sounds great. And I really hope I receive some films for this festival.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'm down to like help promote it as much as I can.
Basically, you can anyone that asks or you mention it to, you can tell them about the judges. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with people knowing now, but I'm going to officially release that over the next couple of weeks or so.
Okay. So well, no matter what,
1st of August, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, and Henry Tran, who made a fun film called Happy ISO Kid that wasn't in the festival. There's only a shot in the montage of his little daughter playing the piano. He's making a teaser trailer for me. So I've given him a concept about trying to find a space in his house, and he's getting these messages saying submit, submit, submit. And it's got this dark swirl on his phone. And he goes in this closet to hide away. Oh God, at least I can be peace and quiet from my family and these messages. And then the festival takes over his laptop and says, submit your film now. Basically, it's going to be the announcement of how to submit his short film. So he's going to make a 1-minute film for me to promote the festival.
So I actually have an idea for a way to promote myself to tell people that I'm still in business because COVID-19, right? People people slow down their inquiries.
Absolutely.
And I don't really want to give this one away either, but I'll make it I'll make it vague. Because I have jokes written for it.
I'll stop the recording. So thank you very much. I'll stop the recording, but we'll continue.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Thanks, Michael, for being on board, and your film's been fantastic, mate.
Oh, thank you so much, man. It was an honor to be on your podcast, and honestly, I'm still completely blown away that my film made it into a UK film festival, and that I was able to connect with you and many others that submitted. Right? It's really cool.
So I'll see you soon. We'll keep in touch.
All right, see you, man.
Bye bye.